Morning legends, it's Friday today, and that means that on Fridays, I help you fix your injuries. If you have any injuries that you want me to fix next Friday, comment below and we will get them sorted. Now today is a bit of an interesting one because we have some injuries and some questions because I got sick this week and we've got to kind of do both in the same episode. So let's get it, baby. Let's do it. Oh, I'm just praying that my voice holds out because it's cooked still. Also, there is some rain on the horizon. Oh, yes. Okay, first up, question number one, curved versus flat treadmills. This is pretty interesting. A flat treadmill, generally speaking, is going to be propelled with a motor rather than you actually pushing it yourself, whereas most curved treadmills are curved because they're self-propelled, meaning that you use your legs to actually move them. And so the dynamics of the way that you move on the curved treadmill compared to flat are a little bit different. The loading patterns are much different. And to be honest, the self-propelled curved treadmills are hideously hard to actually run on without absolute 100% concentration. So I don't recommend them. They're probably just a bit of a little gimmick, I reckon. Now, running on grass or varied terrain, having less running injuries from doing that. I tend to agree, different terrains, different, elevations and things like that tend to actually load your muscles in a different way compared to if you were to just do flat road running. You're going to be loading the same muscles in the same way over time too much, and that is going to lead to overuse. Whereas, if you're doing some elevated and some, running down hills on trails, and then some days of the week you're running on concrete, other days of the week you're running on, soft grass, they can all give you enough variety in your loading patterns through your legs that you can actually reduce your injuries. Well, at least that's what I think anyway. So that's the end of the questions. Injuries. Okay, first injury, and kind of an interesting one actually. I've got a Fredrickson grade 1 bone stress reaction on my posterior medial tibia. We'll get into that in a second. Essentially, MTSS, that is medial tibial stress syndrome. Quite a tricky condition actually. Because this is an issue with the periosteum, not tendon, does the periosteum respond well to isometrics like tendons do? Or does pulling on the bone with movement like ankle band work and calf stretches a better way of healing this stress? Good question. Good question. Now, bone stress grades. Let's just establish this before we go any further. Now, there is this big, crazy Fredrickson bone stress scale from 0 all the way to grade 6, okay? And it describes what you can actually see on an x-ray and what is actually affected in and around the bone when you're having some sort of stress reaction or stress response. So grade 0 is that your bone is all good, basically. Grade 1 is a periosteal issue, okay? What you'll see on the scan is that the fascial lining on the outside of the bone where tendons and things all connect into, that is where you're seeing this inflammatory response coming up on an x-ray. After this grade, there is an element of marrow involvement, and then you'll start to see that the cortical bone section will start to show cracks and things like that. Now, that's not important for this video because we're only at grade 1 of this Fredrickson scale, but essentially grade 2 and onwards, you're pretty cool. Now, the thing about this grade 1 bone stress is that it's the actual periosteum itself that has undergone some sort of tissue damage, okay? It's not the actual cortical bone or the marrow, which means that it's gonna act more like a tendony thing, then it is going to act more like a bone stress injury, thankfully. And this is reflected in your return to sport or running or whatever after actually getting an onset of this grade 1. So grade 1 here says it's around 2 to 3 weeks to get back to health, essentially, because not much tissue has been broken down. It's just the periosteal fascial layer. Once you start to build it back up, have some rest, start to do some tendony kind of exercises that work not just on the tendon, but also the structures that the tendon connect into, okay, then you can start to get much better, okay? So what we can start to do in this phase is work on maintaining our range of motion and our strength. But here's the key, we're keeping it pain-free, okay? If we're loading up this periosteum too much, it's going to get super inflamed because it's already not happy and it's already trying to rebuild and get stronger again from whatever activity you did to cause this bone stress. We have to give it just enough to allow it to start to get stronger over time and not get flared up, but not too much that we piss it off and have to take multiple days off rehab, okay? Now, part 2 of your question, I've got a progression of exercises from the doctor, but do you have any must-do exercises that you would really like for this issue? And I'll be honest, the ones that your doctor had given you around, the general calf strengthening stuff is all going to be fine. But what is absolutely key is that it is pain-free, okay? During the exercise, immediately after the exercise, and then the 24-hour rule. After 24 hours, as long as you're not flaring it up, you can continue to load it up. The only time that this periosteum is going to get super stressed out is really high impact loading forces, like when you rapidly hit your foot on the ground and put 7 times body weight through a single leg, which is what you do when you run. That is going to tear down this periosteum, and we don't want to do that. So anything under that is going to be great. Now, I've done a lot of videos on progressing from calf raises all the way through to the plyometrics, all the way through to returning to running. So go find one of those videos and follow that in lots of detail. I probably put it in last week's Fix Me video in detail. So go watch that and just tick off the boxes going from one end all the way back to return to running, and you should be absolutely fine. Pain-free is the key. Okay, next question. Peroneal tendonitis. What do we know about it? Well, peroneals are the muscles on the outer side of the calf, okay? What they do is they move the foot out like this, as if you're trying to flatten out your arch. That is essentially what they do. Now, they can get super angry when we're running, and generally speaking, it might probably come from the footwear that you're wearing. So first of all, I would look at the footwear to see if that's what's flaring you up. Maybe you've changed the construction of the shoes that you've been wearing lately, or you've been wearing the same one too much. That can also be an issue. Maybe you're wearing a shoe that has too much arch support in it, and that's loading the outer side of your ankle a little bit too much, which is giving you some weird muscle loading. That could be a reason why. But if that stuff's all fine and you just need some strengthening work, then I'm going to show you exactly what to do right now. Okay, so we're going to put this on the ball of our foot and our pinky toe. And we take our leg all the way out so it's really tight, and we can basically pull our foot straight like this. And by not allowing your foot to flop this way, you are isometrically cranking on these peroneals. And because the peroneals really don't do a great deal when you're running, apart from just giving you ankle stability, all you have to do for this muscle group is isometrics like this and ankle stability stuff. It's pretty straightforward. So let's try out the ankle stability stuff. So we're going to find something just like a jumper or anything like that. We're going to put our foot on top, and we're going to start with some single leg balance. Now, as you start to feel that is pretty easy for you, we can start to do what I call a star balance. You guys would have seen this before. This stuff is not complex at all. A lot of exercises transcend the injury themselves, okay? So we're going to go forward, sideways, backwards, and behind. And if you're on something unstable and also quite firm rather than a soft pillow, this is going to really work your peroneals as well as every other stabilizing muscle in your ankle. If you want to make this harder, close your eyes. If you want to make it even harder than that, make the surface even more unstable. Maybe even get one of those balance pads, those little wobbly discs. They can be really beneficial too. Try them all out. Slowly build up over time. And remember, a 2 out of 10 pain when running with stuff like this is too much and you need to deload. Take a step back, add in some sort of intervention to try and make a change in the tissue itself, and then start to build some running back into the schedule. Hopefully that helps. Injuries in the comment section below. I'll see you guys next week and also tomorrow. Peace out. Bye.